In my senior year of high school, in my calculus class, there was this really smart kid that sat right behind me. Absolutely brilliant. And he was the kind of brilliant person that would trail off and maybe sometimes even nap in class because he just didn't need to be reinformed of all this stuff that he was already a mile ahead of us on. But even with his detachment from class, if asked a question, he would know the right answer almost always. I don't remember him ever saying something that was incorrect. And one thing that he asked near the end of the year, it was just a question he had heard that he was relaying to us, was math invented or just discovered? Is it a system that is strictly a human construct, or is it the voice of the universe that we have just recognized? That kind of blew my mind, hearing that question, and it's fun bringing that up to people sometimes, to hear varying different answers. And so here's my answer, and it goes beyond mathematics. But basically, there is this great infinity of every idea that could ever be thought of. And math, along with any other discovery that we make, had to be plucked from that great infinity of every potential idea. So it existed somewhere in the ether, in the abstract, before any human actually put it onto a piece of paper and proclaimed it to the world. So in that way, mathematics, as well as any idea, or any subject, whatever you want to say, it was discovered. And at the same time, we are not separate from that great infinity of pure potential. It's the same pure potential that allowed us to exist in the first place. So none of us, none of these small selves, are separate from that which created the idea. Not separate from the inventor, which is that pure infinity. So therefore, it was also invented. There's no idea that belongs to anybody. Even if they're known as the first person to formulate it and elucidate it with words. Take Isaac Newton, for example. Even he did not invent laws of physics as it is. Where do ideas actually come from? Is what we fail to ask, because we are, myself in the past included, and I can still find myself in this way sometimes, we are so enamored with people, and we tend to idolize people because we want to look up to someone that has the answers. And for some reason, we want to believe that that can be from just one small self in its complete own self-agency. But that could never be the case. In order for that small self to even exist in the first place, it needed all these circumstances surrounding them that they didn't have any control over. And the fact that these ideas came to them, it's pretty great that they were aware enough to recognize them and then articulate enough to share them, but giving so much personal credit for the formulation of a great idea. It doesn't really make sense after a while. I thought of this last night when I was in this acting workshop and we were asked to share our experiences of this exercise that we just did. And I had an idea of what I was going to say, but, I didn't want to jump the gun too quickly on speaking the first of everybody every single question. So I was sitting back and somebody else had the same observation about the activity that I was going to say. And I could feel this emotion of defensiveness or letdown at the fact that this person is now going to get credit for that brilliant idea. Joe isn't going to get any credit for that brilliant idea. When really it's not Joe's brilliant idea. Again, cool that Joe was aware enough to make this observation, but clearly that observation was built into the activity itself. If another person could have that idea, there was no ownership of a brilliant insight. If you think about it, there had to be a first person that said, "The sky is blue." But anybody could have come up with that. Yeah, there's no personal credit for any thought or idea because it's just part of what is. And we can appreciate ourselves for having great ideas and other people for their great ideas, in as much as we're willing to recognize that the way things are is pretty brilliant already, just as it is. There's a Peter Ralston book called The Genius of Being. And honestly, it won me over with just the title because, yes, being is genius. And the best ideas that we're ever going to come up with, they're just transported through pure being. And at the same time, it's none of what I say here is a personal treasure of Joe's sole ownership. But it's part of Joe's life purpose to relay what he is able to attain through his being. The sharing of ideas is fantastic. And I'm very grateful to all of the great minds out there that I know or that I don't know and I've just read in a book or watched on a video or something. I'm grateful to those minds for being willing to share their ideas, their discoveries. But I'm equally as grateful for that individual person as I am for just the great way that allowed that idea to be in the first place. And it creates a great relief because I don't feel any need to be the sole owner of great ideas when I'm making these videos anymore. Again, sometimes a natural thought or emotional pattern will pop up regarding something like that. But I can just let that go. And what's also great is that given infinite amount of time, We just get infinitely better, clearer, more lucid ideas, like the way that Newtonian physics was brilliant and is still brilliant, and we've evolved into quantum physics and beyond. By collecting ideas and sharing them, and other people hearing them and building upon them, we only get infinitely clearer insight into pure being.